When you're 3 chapters into a game, 2 hours passed when you should have turned it off and went to bed, but you keep telling yourself you're going to play till the next autosave, then the game is good. By that definition, Max Payne is good. In fact, it's damn good. So if you're just here for a quick review to see if it's worth playing, the answer is yes. But the question I want to ask is this: is Max Payne worth a remake or even a complete reboot of the whole series? I'm Zach with Amateur Game Review. Let's find out. From the outside, Max Payne isn't exactly what you think it would be. The title sounds like a crappy B-movie title, the plot is set up like a crappy B-movie plot, but as a package, the game is anything but that. From the very beginning, it lets you know what you're in for. The story is told by Max in a first-person narrative and done through a graphic novel style. Max lets you know that he's just your run-of-the-mill NYPD detective that does his work, loves his wife and his new baby girl, and that's all that he cares about. All of that changes though when his family gets murdered by a bunch of junkies hooked on a new drug called Valkyr. And I know, you're thinking, Zach, you better not be giving spoilers and ruining this game that you just said was awesome. But don't worry, this literally all happens in the first few minutes. Hell, I even think it says it on the back of the game case. Anyway, after that, the story flashes forward a few years and the game actually starts. Max is no longer just a nice guy detective, he's gone undercover as one of the criminals to try to get to the root of this new drug and figure out why his family was killed. He's an angry, pissed off guy, and it shows in everything he does. What really sets the story off, though, is the writing.
Lapino thought he could get us by taking Alex out and leaving me to take the fall for it. All he had gotten was my attention. I went for the hotel first. It was a sad old thing with flickering lamps and faded colors, cheap mobster punks and tired-eyed prostitutes. I walked straight in, playing at Bogart like I'd done 100 times before.
It's by no means flashy, and most of it's just nonsense, but it's a dark and depressing kind of nonsense that seems intentional and fits the mood of the game perfectly. Also, the voice actor for Max does an excellent job and really drives it home with a very melancholy but somehow comedic delivery. Add that to the comic-style storytelling, and you get this perfect mix that honestly makes you feel like you are Max and you're just as pissed off as he is. If you can't tell, the story was easily my favorite part. Closely behind this story is the gameplay. Max Payne is your typical pre-cover system third-person shooter. You basically just run from room to room, shooting bad guys with whatever weapons you can find, and you find a pretty good amount of them. All the weapons feel a bit different, and all are pretty fun to use. So what sets it apart from other shooters and makes it worth trying? Well, Max Payne came out hot off of the heels of the Matrix series, and basically just cloned its bullet time slowdown mechanic like so many other things from the early 2000s did. Let's be clear, bullet time is a complete gimmick. A gimmick that 100% works. Hell, even in 2021, I was having a blast. I must have slow motion dove through 100 doorways, shooting as many bad guys as I could before I hit the ground and time started moving like normal again. It was an awesome gimmick back then, and it's an awesome gimmick now. The final huge positive I want to talk about is the atmosphere. It's dark, it's gritty, and it's immersive as hell. You feel like you are an undercover cop down in the filth of the city, and it just pulls you further into the story. Everywhere you go, you will hear enemies talking about relevant information, radios crackling on about what's going on in the city, and you will see news programs on TVs reporting on what's happening outside. All of this combines to be one of the most immersive experiences of its time, and it's just brilliant. The game isn't perfect though, so let's jump to what was easily my least favorite part, and that's the graphics. I try to keep this channel pretty PG, so I won't say exactly what the graphics look like, but just assume they aren't very good. This goes for the console versions anyway. The facial animations are okay. They are sort of like still images or pictures wrapped around some polygons, and it adds a very distinct style, but it's like they spent all of their time on that and forgot about everything else. The environments are especially bad, to the point where whole rooms or areas will just be one color and one texture, and it's kind of hard to figure out where you need to go or what you need to do. To make matters worse, even with the bad graphics, the game had trouble handling it and suffered from poor frame rate that got me killed more than once. Add to that some pretty slow and frequent load times, and some parts became just annoying. However, if you play the PC version, most of this isn't a problem. Everything looks quite good for how old the game is and plays a lot smoother for the most part. The PC version has its own problems though. It was designed for older hardware, so after you install the game, you will have to find and install extra patches to fix quite a few issues that pop up. It's not too hard, but even then you may run into some weird issues popping up, like getting stuck on walls and things. That being said, the PC version is probably still the best way to experience the original game. But we're not just talking about the original game. Let's get back to the initial question, which is Max Payne Remake worthy? Well, if you've been paying attention at all, it's not too hard to guess my opinion. I think the original game almost 20 years later is still worth playing. That doesn't automatically qualify a game as remake worthy, but it's a damn good start. To me, the key reasons why I think it should be remade is that all the problems the original suffered from were all superficial in nature. Poor graphics, bad frame rate, bad load times, and other small things like that would easily be fixed through the course of just bringing it to current generation hardware. Obviously, they would make the game look beautiful, and things like load times are almost non-existent anymore, so none of that would be a problem. The key to Max Payne being such a good candidate is that the character, story, and ideas are completely solid. Beyond solid, honestly. And to top it off, it's an IP that has kind of been put on the back burner for a while now and is due for something. And I think that something could be special. So we might as well wrap it up and summarize. Max Payne is a great game. It was then, and it is now. It's definitely worth a remake, and I personally would love to see it. Hell, I would like the whole franchise to be rebooted if possible. I think it would be a huge success. But what do you think? Let me know down in the comments below, and as always, like the video and subscribe to the channel. An embarrassingly high percentage of people who watch this channel aren't subscribed. It's like 99.6% or something like that. Either way, I truly appreciate everyone who watches, subscribed or not. Finally, if you have a specific game you would like to see me cover in a future episode of Remake, Reboot, or Retire, then also leave that down in the comments below. Thanks again, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.